Have you ever wondered why a revolver cartridge from the year 1935 is still considered one of the most powerful tools for self-defense today? Despite being nearly 9 decades old, the .357 Magnum remains a favorite among professionals, hunters, and everyday gun owners. But is this cartridge truly the best of both worlds, or does it come with serious drawbacks you need to know about? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll discover not only the biggest advantages, but also the hidden disadvantages of the legendary .357 Magnum. It all started back in 1935, when Smith & Wesson introduced a new revolver round with more punch than anything the civilian market had seen. Derived from the venerable .38 Special, the .357 Magnum was simply a longer case, packed with more powder, and, in turn, more power. It quickly gained popularity for its incredible muzzle velocity, penetrating ability, and unmatched stopping power. Today, it's not only a top choice for revolver enthusiasts, but also a trusted companion for hunting, sport shooting, and even home defense. Some lever-action rifles are also chambered for it, extending its utility even further. In this video, we'll dive deep into the 5 biggest advantages of the .357 Magnum, and the 5 most critical disadvantages that often get overlooked. Some of what you'll learn may just change your opinion on whether it's the right caliber for you. Let's start with the elephant in the room: power. The .357 Magnum is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to personal defense. It delivers significantly more kinetic energy than most popular semi-auto handgun cartridges. How much more? On average, it produces around 850 joules of muzzle energy. That's nearly double the energy of a standard 9mm round, which usually clocks in at just under 500. Compare that to the .40 Smith & Wesson or even the .45 ACP, both of which fall short of the Magnum's performance in stopping an aggressive threat immediately. And here's where things get interesting. When paired with defensive projectiles like flat-nose or hollow-point bullets, the .357 Magnum doesn't just penetrate, it transfers its energy fast and violently, dumping it into the target before exiting, or sometimes without exiting at all. This means fewer shots fired, and a much higher likelihood of neutralizing a threat with the first hit. But with all this power, comes a price. And we'll get to that soon. Power is great, but what if your gun fails when you need it most? That's where the .357 Magnum shines again, thanks to the type of firearm it's most commonly paired with, the revolver. Unlike semi-automatic pistols that rely on complex mechanisms and timing, revolvers are simple, rugged, and reliable. They don't jam. They don't stovepipe. And they don't care if the ammo is slightly underpowered. Even if one round is a dud, all the shooter has to do is pull the trigger again. The cylinder rotates, skips the faulty round, and brings the next cartridge into position. No tap-rack bang needed. In emergency situations, this reliability can mean the difference between life and death. Yes, this is more a feature of the platform than the cartridge itself. But since the .357 Magnum is most often fired from revolvers, it becomes a crucial advantage in real-world use. And when we talk self-defense, you want a gun that goes bang every time. A powerful cartridge is only as useful as the shooter's ability to hit the target. And when it comes to accuracy, the .357 Magnum stands tall, especially when fired from revolvers with longer barrels, or better on, from lever-action carbines. Out of a full-sized revolver, it can remain precise at distances of up to 45 meters. And when chambered in a rifle with a long barrel, its effective accuracy can reach as far as 115 meters, a remarkable range for a handgun cartridge. But what makes it so accurate? The answer lies in its flat trajectory and high velocity. Unlike slower handgun rounds that drop quickly, the .357 Magnum's speed helps maintain a flatter bullet path, giving shooters more margin for error in judging distance. Now, of course, no cartridge guarantees perfect accuracy on its own. A skilled hand, steady aim, and quality firearm are essential. But in the hands of an experienced shooter, the .357 Magnum is more than capable of making surgical hits, even in real-world conditions. And here's where it gets even more practical. This level of precision makes it viable not just for self-defense, but also for hunting small to medium game, or defending property in open spaces like farms or rural homes. In short, it's not just a powerful round, it's a precise one. What happens when a bullet has to punch through more than just fabric or flesh? In scenarios like vehicle defense, rural protection, or even urban emergencies, penetration matters, and this is where the .357 Magnum once más demuestra su fuerza. Thanks to its high velocity, averaging around 410 metros por segundo, this cartridge can pierce through barriers that would easily stop other handgun rounds. It can defeat car doors, window glass, wooden panels, and even thin sheet metal. That's exactly why, During the mid to late siglo XX, many U.S. police departments equipped officers with revolvers chambered in .357 Magnum. The .38 Special often lacked the punch to penetrate auto bodies or heavy clothing reliably, but the Magnum did not. And if we take this beyond law enforcement, in hunting applications, its penetration allows it to humanely and effectively dispatch medium-sized game with dense tissue, something lower-energy rounds struggle with. Now, yes, too much penetration can become a problem, especially in home defense, where innocent lives may be behind walls. But we'll cover that when we get to the disadvantages. For now, understand this. If you need a handgun cartridge that gets through tough barriers without relying on rifle-level hardware, the .357 Magnum delivers. There's no point in owning a great cartridge if you can't find ammo for it. Fortunately, the .357 Magnum isn't going anywhere. Despite being introduced in the década de 1930, it remains one of the most widely available revolver cartridges in the world, right up there with the .22 long rifle and the .38 Special. What does that mean for you? Ammunition is easy to find in sporting goods stores, gun shops, and even online. Prices remain reasonable due to its popularity and constant production. And variety is abundant, from light powder loads for target practice to heavy, hollow-point hunting rounds. This ongoing demand also means that firearms manufacturers continue to develop new models, both revolvers and lever-action rifles, specifically chambered in .357 Magnum. You're not just buying a cartridge, you're buying into a living ecosystem that's actively supported by ammo makers and gun designers alike. Compare that to more obscure calibers, like the .45 Gap or .41 Magnum, which are increasingly hard to find and more expensive to shoot. And here's a key point many overlook. This availability gives .357 owners confidence that their weapons won't become obsolete or unsupported anytime soon. So if you're looking for a versatile, powerful round backed by decades of production and industry support, this is it. So far, the .357 Magnum sounds like a dream cartridge. But what happens when you try to carry all that power in a compact, everyday carry revolver? Things change drastically. You see, the .357 Magnum was designed to shine in revolvers with larger frames and longer barrels. When you shrink it down into a snub-nose revolver, those with barrels of 5 to 7 centimeters, you start losing a significant amount of what makes this round special. Here's what you lose. Velocity drops sharply, because there's not enough barrel length for the powder to burn completely. Penetration decreases. Accuracy suffers at anything beyond close range. And all that unburnt powder, it turns into a massive muzzle flash that can be blinding, especially in low light. So while a short barrel revolver might still look like a .357 Magnum, you're not getting the full performance the cartridge is capable of. Yes, it still outclasses the .38 Special in raw power, but it's a shadow of what the Magnum can do from a proper barrel length of 15 centimeters or more. This makes short barrel Magnums a compromise. Portable, yes, but underwhelming in power and more difficult to control. And in self-defense, compromises can matter. Now, let's talk about something that matters a lot in real life: carry comfort. Here's the truth. .357 Magnum revolvers are heavy and bulky. And there's a good reason for that. To handle the extreme pressures generated by the cartridge, the firearm needs to be built like a tank. Thicker walls, reinforced cylinders, and strong steel or alloy frames are all part of the package. The result? Even the lightest .357 revolvers on the market tend to weigh 350 gramos o más, and that's unloaded. Compare that with a small .380 ACP pistol like the Ruger LCP, which weighs solo 270 gramos. It may not sound like a big difference, but you'll feel it, especially after a full day of concealed carry. And don't forget, heavier guns may soak up recoil better, but bulkier frames make them harder to conceal, especially in warm climates or with lighter clothing. The takeaway: if your priority is deep concealment, all-day comfort, or discreet carry, the .357 Magnum revolver will demand serious trade-offs. It's not impossible, but it's far from ideal. And if you try to fix the weight problem by going with a super light revolver, get ready for a brutal recoil experience. And that brings us straight into our next point. Here's something that surprises many new shooters. The .357 Magnum kicks hard. And we don't mean a little push. We're talking about a sharp, snapping recoil that demands strength, control, and experience. Even in full-sized revolvers weighing over 750 gramos, the recoil is considerable. But in lightweight models, made with titanium or scandium frames, it can be downright punishing. So, what's the real issue? Follow-up shots become slower. Muzzle rise makes reacquiring your target more difficult. Fatigue sets in faster, especially in the wrists and forearms. Now imagine someone elderly, physically limited, or completely new to firearms. Giving them a full-power .357 Magnum and expecting good performance? It's a recipe for frustration, or even injury. That's why many owners of ultralight .357 revolvers often choose to load them with .38 special rounds instead, accepting less power in exchange for better control. So yes, the Magnum offers legendary power, but that power comes at a price. If you're not ready for it, the recoil can actually reduce your effectiveness, not enhance it. This is not a beginner's cartridge. And it's definitely not for everyone. You've probably heard the saying, it only takes one well-placed shot. Sure, but in a real-world emergency, things rarely go as planned. And here's the problem. Most revolvers chambered in .357 Magnum carry only cinco a seis disparos. Algunos modelos más grandes pueden llegar a ocho, pero eso es la excepción, no la regla. Now compare that to a standard semi-automatic pistol, which easily holds between quince y 20 rondas. That's el triple de munition, ready to go before a reload is even necessary. Why does this matter? Because in a self-defense situation, especially under high stress, misses are common. Adrenaline takes over, fine motor skills deteriorate, and hitting a moving, aggressive target is no easy task. 8 shots may sound like enough, until you miss 6. And revolvers aren't exactly fast to reload under pressure. Speed loaders help, sure, but even with training, it's a slower and more fumble-prone process than swapping a magazine. So what's the bottom line? If you're confident, calm, and highly trained, a 6-shot revolver might be all you need. But if you're the average civilian, scared, shaking, and under attack, those limited rounds might run out before the threat does. Now we come to one of the most critical concerns with the .357 Magnum, especially if you're thinking about using it for home defense. Its raw power and high velocity give it impressive penetration, but sometimes too much. Imagine this, you fire a defensive round at an intruder, but the bullet goes straight through the threat, and keeps going. It punches through a wall. Maybe another. ND on the other side. A family member, a neighbor, or an innocent bystander. That's the risk of overpenetration. The .357 Magnum can easily pierce multiple sheets of drywall, wooden doors, and even exterior siding, especially if you're using full metal jacket or non-expanding ammunition. Now, yes, this can be mitigated. The use of hollow point rounds or soft point ammunition can help the bullet expend its energy inside the target, reducing the risk of exit wounds and wall penetration. But here's the catch. In some jurisdictions, hollow points may be restricted or discouraged. And in high-stress moments, you may not always have the luxury of choosing the perfect round. So if you live in an apartment, a duplex, or a home where loved ones are just meters away, you'll need to think very carefully about whether the .357 Magnum is worth the risk in that setting. Power is a blessing, but in the wrong context, it can become a liability. So, what have we learned about the legendary .357 Magnum? It's powerful, accurate, reliable, and still incredibly relevant. Nearly 9 decades after it was introduced. But that same power brings real trade-offs. Heavy recoil, limited capacity, and a serious risk of overpenetration in close-quarters defense. Visual. Split screen showing pros list on one side and cons list on the other. Clean, minimalist animation. Is it the perfect cartridge? No. Is it still one of the most capable handgun rounds ever made? Absolutely. And if you choose to master it, you'll have a tool that commands respect in the hands of both professionals and prepared civilians. Now it's your turn. Tell us in the comments. Have you shot a .357 Magnum? Would you carry one? Pushpin, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this breakdown, and check out our video on 9mm versus .38 Special to explore even more options. Give us a like to support the channel, and hit that bell to never miss a deep dive into the world of firearms. Until next time, stay sharp, stay trained, and stay safe.